Another attempt to stop the oil leak in the Gulf of Mexico is underway. BP says it is trying to seal the blown-out oil well by pumping heavy mud into it. The top kill maneuver has never before been tried a mile beneath the sea, and company officials say it could be a couple of days before they know whether it is working. Engineers hope to pump enough mud into the gusher to overcome the flow of the well. Engineers plan to follow up the mud with cement that the company hopes will permanently seal the well. And joining us now to discuss the possible impacts of the Gulf oil spill is Gulfstream expert and JMU geology and environmental science professor, Dr. Stan Ulansky. Stan, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Bob.
Now, how important is the current attempt to stop the leak?
Well, the oil has been gushing for over a month, and obviously it's very, very important because as more time goes by, the oil spreads out, which makes it more difficult to contain it and therefore to treat it.
All right, well, let's take a look at a map of the area and explain for us the loop current and the Gulf Stream.
The loop current gets its name because as it enters the Gulf of Mexico, it turns clockwise around the Gulf of Mexico and then heads southward. And then notice as it heads southward, it passes through the Straits of Florida, where it squeezes in between Cuba and the Keys. Oil that entered the loop current that you can see further to the north can impact the coral reefs there and the mangrove systems, which are major sensitive ecosystems in that area.
So according to the map, you can see that actually the black area is the oil spill, and it's actually the loop current is actually, as we can see on the map, going through the oil spill.
That's correct.
As we speak.
That's correct. Since that oil is spreading very, very rapidly from the source area, the loop current has entrained some of that oil. We don't know how much, but obviously quite a bit, and now it's going to be transported southward.
If it's in the loop current, as you say it is, will it then end up in the Gulf Stream for sure?
Yeah, it's not going to impact the west coast of Florida. Notice that the loop current stays pretty far off the west coast of Florida. But then as it enters into the southern part of Florida around Miami, it's going to be picked up by the Gulf Stream, a very, very strong, powerful current. And the oil will then be carried northward.
Okay. What will the effect be on Florida, it looks like? The Florida Keys, that whole area there?
Oh, obviously the Florida Keys will be impacted because it's an area of coral reefs, and then further, a little bit to the north in South Florida, you've got the mangrove areas, which are habitat for a whole host of marine organisms. But as it moves into the Gulf Stream, the corridor between Miami and Palm Beach is probably going to be most impacted, particularly by tar balls if you get an easterly wind which will blow the oil towards the coast.
All right. And as we see the Gulf Stream on the map, it looks like it goes away from the coast there after Miami. Do you expect any impact on the Atlantic beaches, Outer Banks, Virginia Beach, etc.?
No, people trying to plan their vacations on Memorial Day weekend, I don't think have to really worry about the oil there. As the Gulf Stream moves northward, the underwater topography tends to steer it away from the coast. So by the time it gets to the Outer Banks, it's about 40 miles away from the coast, and by the time it gets to Virginia Beach, it's about a good 70 miles away. So the impact won't be felt in our area, mainly confined to southern Florida and the Keys.
Okay. And in the future, though, still not really much of a chance of an impact, I mean, a couple months down the road, well, on the Outer Banks in that area? The
impact will be not directly on the beaches and on the coastal communities. The impact will probably be on the marine life that uses the Gulf Stream as a conduit to move northward. So, for example, bluefin tuna that spawn in the Gulf of Mexico are moving northward and could be impacted by the oil.
All right, JMU geology and environmental science professor, Dr. Stan Ulansky, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And now let's send it to